We are with a special guest. His name is Zilong Wang, who was on a bicycle ride across the United States for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
What was that about?
That was about almost rehabilitation, or using the Mao's language, re-educating the intellectual youth. I feel like for my entire life I have been in school, getting this sense of competence from the intellectual realm.
Yes.
But out of touch with body, spirit, or the reality, or having spent 4 years in the very liberal part of the country, out of touch with the reality of the entire US, what America is like.
And where are you going this time?
This time is back to China, and for the next, I don't know exactly how long, but inside I feel like there's space for 2 to 3 years, essentially biking around the world from San Francisco Bay Area back to China.
Wow. Okay, you don't know how long it's going to take you.
That's right. So the trip 2 summers ago was an unintentional pilgrimage. There's not really a lot of intentionality or structure in it. This time, because of the gifts that I've received in the past 2 years, through being exposed to a gift economy, or Vipassana meditation, or integral nonviolence, these gave me the inner strength and clarity. So, okay, this time it's a pilgrimage. It's not a trip.
You are building a website. You have a WeChat blog also for people who want to follow your journey this time. Are you asking for any specific support at this time?
I would ask for prayers of peace, inside and out, and for the introspection in seeing how we're aligned with our value, and in trying our best to be the change we want to see in the world. It doesn't matter the magnitude or the act itself, but in each micro act, micro moment, each thought that arises, it reprograms our heart and being.
Did you have a personal crisis of some kind that made you think that I need to do something different?
There was a big crisis during the 3rd or 4th year of college, after spending years learning about the Western way of thinking, logic, reason. I came to the US at the age 18 at Hampshire College in Amherst, Massachusetts, wanting to understand the secret of the West's success.
You were in high school in Shanghai in China though, right?
Yeah.
And so you had to go through what is the test?
The Gao Kao. Yeah. Thanks to my parents' wisdom, I skipped that.
You skipped the Gao Kao?
Yeah, because I know or they probably knew, especially my mom, knew that I would want to go to college in the US. It is just obvious that that 1 year does a lot of damage to to a person in many levels without much benefit. So I definitely feel very grateful for the opportunity and my parents' open-mindedness.
Yeah, and from that, then you were able to go to the United States for college.
That's right.
Okay,
yeah.
And you were studying what?
My thesis has evolved, and it arrived at the logic of nature versus the logic of capital, a reading of Marx and Darwin.
Wow. And then you realized that you couldn't get to the essence of that without experiencing it for yourself?
At the edge of reason, I see the bankruptcy of reason on its own, or logic at its edge collapse on itself, and is having a real intellectual crisis. So wow, I invested all this time training my mind to be a logical reasoning machine, but through reason I have come to see that logic is inherently self-contradictory.
Right.
And I know I can follow this path, the linear deductive path, for my whole life, but it feels like driving on a desert highway for eternity. The scene never changes.
Can you describe this a little bit in Chinese for our Chinese audience, this understanding you came to about logic and reason?
我来美国求学是想学西方最先进、最核心的文明精髓。我觉得那是西方的逻辑理性，科学等等，但是发现在理性的和逻辑的尽头 竟然是如此的矛盾，而且这条理性之路给人类社会、给心灵带来了很多的创伤，所以发现自己三四年苦练的武功，竟然是有余毒这么深，必须承认这一套理论的破产，或者说自相矛盾之处。
What did you learn? What started to come to you as you were bike riding around every day? Did you get some moments of enlightenment or some sudden realizations?
One biggest realization is how good people are. Throughout the entire 3,000 plus miles in 2.5 months, I've never met one bad person.
Wow.
Not a harsh word. Every single night, one family or another opened up their home to let me camp in their backyard. And every single night, I've been able to have a shower inside of a stranger's home.
Wow. And they trusted you, and most people open their homes to you?
Yeah, 1 in 5. So the average success rate is 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
Which is gives me great hope because it's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
And then they often invite me to have dinner or breakfast with them, and we chat, share about life, pray together before a meal. It's definitely some of the richest part of the journey.
Wow. What about the rest of your questions in reason and logic and connecting to the natural world? What about that?
It really shows me that competence takes many forms, and intellectual competence is perhaps the most overvalued and least ultimately relevant one.
It seems society places a lot of value on that intellectual competence. What about it do you think is not important, or what do you think is more important instead, and why?
I think I just saw in the video that on Shi T website, a speaker said it used to be the heart tells the mind what to do, not the other way.
Yeah.
So it seems like intellect, mind alone, it can very easily breed hubris and a false sense of control, or things are in control and knowable. Whereas the heart opens to mystery and compassion and connection.
What about now? Where are you off to now, and why are you doing this a second time around?
So for the past 2 years, I've been working with a sustainability consulting company, working with large corporations to help them become more environmentally sound. I spent 2 years there, really grateful for the learning opportunity, but the heart also recognized that this is not it, because as once again the Einstein quote that we cannot solve the problem at the same level of consciousness.
That created the problem.
Exactly.
Yes.
I feel like by making the business case for sustainability for the environment, or by putting a dollar amount on the ecosystem services, is just there is a Chinese phrase called 饮鸩止渴, drinking the poison to quench the thirst.
It's not really addressing the problem.
Yeah.
What do you know of the divine feminine?
In a spontaneous men's circle, when a group of us were studying with Joanna Macy on the work that reconnects, this circle just spontaneously formed, and that's where I learned or rehabilitated the ability to cry.
The courage to feel again.
Yeah.
Had you not really before in your life?
Yeah, the culture growing up, sayings like in Mandarin, like 男儿有泪不轻弹. Even a man has tears, he does not let it out easily. So things like that has its values in character building, but also when it becomes one-sided, it creates so much suffering inside and outside.
Wow, okay. So that opened you back up in touch with your feelings again.
Yeah.
And how did that feel for you?
Still a slow process. I very frequently forget, especially swimming in the soup that we are in.
Yeah. Well, we'll send you goddess prayers and energy to you happy to have you have white Tara be all around.
Yes.
The compassion, energy, and strength for your journey. And we really look forward to hearing the progression of your pilgrimage.